Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Please write to me at walkwithtak@gmail.com if you have any questions regarding to this video or any other videos that I have posted in the past. If you have any videos that you would like me to make, please let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Cooking dinner each evening is probably the best time of the day for me. I really enjoy spending time in the kitchen, particularly when my wife and I cook together. And quite often, we are able to cook something that we both thought of that evening. But a lot of time we cook based on what we have available on hand, and I'm able to make adjustments to cook the way how I would want to. Now in this evening, I'm going to actually cook two dishes. Now most of the time, I cook somewhere between 1 to 3 dishes, depending on how many people I have eating. But for this evening, my son is eating with us, and he loves fried rice. So I decided I'm going to make a fried rice with cauliflower. Now, as I have demonstrated in the past, is that you can make use all parts of the cauliflowers. For example, most people will throw away the stem as well as the leaves that comes with the cauliflower. But in this case, I use them to make a cauliflower fried rice by chopping them up. Now, I'm going to cook this dish in my Cuisine 14-inch stainless steel wok. I already cooked the fried rice in it, so I don't really need to wash it. And as you can see, the fried rice do not stick to the bottom of the wok at all. And this is what makes it so nice with a stainless steel wok. If you know how to use it, it will allow you to cook almost anything that you want without any problem of food sticking. So now I'm continue to cook this dish. Now this is a shrimp dish with 3 different kind of vegetables. I mentioned to you before the importance of create vegetable medley. And one nice thing about vegetable medley is that you can not only change the ingredients that you use in the vegetable medley, but you can also change the ratio. In this case, I'm going to use some cauliflower. Now, in addition to cauliflower, I also going to use different kind of vegetables. But first of all, I'm going to add some minced garlic. Now, garlic actually is a very interesting as well as flexible ingredients to you use. Now, depending on how you want your garlic, how you want it to flavor, you can add it at different time, and this will change the characteristic of the dish. Now, if you want garlic to only mainly to season the oil to create aroma, you add the garlic right in the beginning of the cooking session. Now, in this case, you notice that I add the cauliflower first. The cauliflower will reduce the temperature of the oil. So when I add the garlic will not be sauteed. Now, that is important because if the garlic is cooked at a lower temperature, it will retain the flavor. But if you cook it at high temperature, such as the temperature you sauteed it, it will release more the aroma and lose its flavor. I think I'm going to add some green bean, which I really enjoy. This is followed by adding some broccoli. Now you notice that I add the cauliflower first. And the reason is that because the cauliflower will take a little bit longer time to cook. Now it is really much relative how long you want to cook them. Because if you want your ingredients have a more crispy texture, then you add them a little bit later. But if you want them to be more softened through the cooking process, then you add them early. Now, I call this sequential stir frying. This method is extremely valuable because by using this approach, you can time when you add the ingredients. Consequently, you can cook them to the texture that you want. For example, if you want to cook the broccoli more, you could add the broccoli first before you add the cauliflower. And it's similar true with the green bean. Now, in this case, I do this with a specific reason because I like the cauliflower to be a little bit softer and I like the broccoli to be a little bit more crispy. Now, so you notice that the ratio of these 3 ingredients are pretty much the same. Now, again, you can vary the ratio by choosing one of the ingredients as the primary ingredients and the other one as secondary. You'll be surprised how much it will change the nature of the dish. So at this point, I added a bit more oil. The burner is set at high. So what basically is that I'm stir frying all the content. Now by now, the vegetable, which by my estimation is about 50% done, to pretty much about halfway I like their texture is going to be. Okay, the next step is that I'm going to add the shrimp. Now the shrimp that I use is a jumbo shrimp, which I purchased at a grocery store called Fresh Time, and they have some really good sale. And this shrimp actually comes with shell. Now, when I buy shrimp, I always buy shrimp with shell on. And the reason is that the shell protects the shrimp from freezer burn. And the end result, the quality of the shrimp is much better if you store them in the freezer for a prolonged period of time. For shrimp that are without shell, they get freezer burned. And for most of you who eat shrimp a lot, you probably notice that. So my recommendation is always buy shrimp that with a shell on. And I always buy the largest shrimp that I can with what I can afford, because that usually provides the best flavor. Now you notice that at the bottom of the wok, some of the garlic has burned to the surface. Now that's one bad thing about garlic. It has a tendency to burn. And to solve this problem is that I used a water bottle, which I will squeeze water directly over the burned material, and I used the wok spatula to scrape them off, and it worked really well. And I call this method spot cleaning. Basically, you clean the wok right at the spot, and that makes cleaning much easier after you finish cooking and take the wok to the sink. It truly makes a big difference. Now, when I'm seasoning my dish, I use what I would call a shortcut method. Of course, you can create complicated sauces that you want, but I find that a little bit of oyster sauce go a long way. For this dish, all I'm going to do is that I add just about probably about less than 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. Again, you notice that some of the oyster sauce burned to the surface of the wok as well. Again, I use my spot cleaning trick by adding a small amount of water that will allow me basically dissolve the burnt sauce and return the flavor back to the dish. And this method is frequently in professional cooking known as degreasing. And so it's a very effective method. It allows you to create a very light sauce. So I always recommend to put your water in a squeeze bottle so you can add only enough water to dissolve the material that are burned to the bottom surface of the wok. And trust me, this method works really well because when you're ready to clean the wok, it is so much easier to clean if you have not done so. Now this dish is very fast to cook. Again, how long you stir fry the final aspect or the final stage of the dish depends on how much you want the shrimp to be cooked. Now, you have to experiment that a little bit on your own, the texture of the shrimp that you would like. I like my shrimp to be lightly cooked. I do not want the shrimp to have a rubbery taste, as quite often if you overcook the shrimp. With this method, you can really control how long you want to cook the shrimp, and with experimentation, you can cook the shrimp to perfection. I never order shrimp in a restaurant because they are most of the time, for me, is overcooked. So the final step is that I add some cashew nut. I love cashew in almost any type of dishes that I cook. And this cashew that I use is a roasted cashew, but unsalted. All I need to do is just add a little bit to it. It adds a great deal to the dish. It makes the dish far more interesting. Last but not the least, I always have some scallions on hand. I like the freshness of scallion to a dish, and I really enjoy that kind of an oniony flavor, since I normally do not cook with onion because onion takes a little bit longer time to cook, and it's just not as efficient from my standpoint. So I use scallions as a substitute. And finally, this is just for decoration. I garnish the dish with just a little bit of oyster sauce. Okay, now the dish is done. The total cook time is only about 6 minutes. Now, with this amount of time, you can create in this case, a fairly complex dish with 3 different kinds of vegetables and also with cashew to go with shrimp, and the shrimp can cook to the perfection as you desire. Now, again, this is a template that will allow you to make substitution accordingly. So, my goal is to help you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine. You can put a meal together on the table in less than 20 minutes, all from scratch using fresh ingredients. So if you'd like to learn more about my fast cooking system, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.